Okay. So Lanny, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, can you guys still see me okay?
Yeah, now we
I
can.
mean, can you now see me okay?
See,
Yeah, my big expensive computer won't let me do a Zoom call, but my Samsung is okay and you can hear. Ooh, creepy. It's okay. All right, perfect. So, are we starting with people playing tonight?
I was thinking that would be the way to do it. I know that we're
Yeah.
missing some. We're missing a couple people. Carrier said she can't make it, and Mary said even though she prepared something, that she her internet is already starting to be affected by the wind, so she
Yeah.
doubts very much she's going to make it. So Grace, did you prepare something?
I did. I thought I would do the first 4 pages of La Source,
Oh, good for
um,
you.
but it's
That's
very late for me, and I'm not quite sure it's going to go very well. But I'll see how far I get. Would that be okay?
Sure.
that's fantastic. Great idea. I'm gonna get my music out.
Oh yeah, I'm going to get my music out too. I've got it right here actually.
Now, I realized I can't turn pages,
Oh, right.
so I was going to. So I've got my foot pedal, which is like an extra pedal change. So there's probably going to be a little bit gaps between the pages. But we'll see
Okay.
how it goes. Oops. I messed up.
Wow,
Uh,
Fun.
great.
Yeah.
it's 10 p.m. for me, so and I had 4 hours of sleep last night. So
Oh gosh.
Oh,
Good job. I mean, this is one of these workout type pieces. Right now it seems like I have a bunch of students studying it. Like all of a sudden it's become the most popular piece.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had to do it when I was a student. And the thing is, in my version of it, it's from a book, a collection, very, very worn-looking piece of music here called "The Album of Solo Pieces for the Harp," compiled and edited by Annie Louise David, and it was at the time $2.50. That's how old I am.
Oh, wow.
But the thing that's incredible is that I played this thing for one of my recitals at University of Toronto, not knowing that one of the pages was missing. So there was this whole section, just before the end that was just completely missing. And the funny thing was the piece went fine without it. You would never know that there was anything wrong. And it wasn't until I started teaching it, I thought, wait a minute, what are you guys doing? Oh my gosh. Anyway, yeah, but one thing I've noticed about this piece, which is kind of cool, is that every so often, the left hand just parks and it just stays on the same thing for, quite some time. And the right hand's just doing all this stuff and the left hand's just, kind of repeating and repeating and repeating. So I find one of the things about this thing that I tell my students is just look for all the places where nothing moves. Or just the thumb is moving and everything else is just sitting there, because you can save yourself all kinds of agony just going, oh, it's just my right hand thumb that's doing all this.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I do is I don't know if you have bar numbers, but bar 23, where you have the G sharp that goes to an A natural, you've got a big fortissimo. I discovered that that's all the same strings if you do it as an A flat, and then you just change it to an A natural, and then you're not actually moving, you're actually just parking again. It does slightly change the timbre because then you're no longer on a wire string at the bottom. But I started doing that just because it was just one more way to make it a little bit easier, just by doing that, and then you're playing the same string, you just simply change the pedal. And the other thing that I'm always on my students about is they tend to, and I don't think you did, I think you were fine, but in the very beginning, in the intro, trying to keep track of how many duddle-a-duddle you've done. So I just tell them count the right hand thumb. So 6 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then you change the knitting, and you do 6 of those, and then and then you're also coming, through this up and down dynamic thing. And then you still have to count 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 before you play the next thing, because a lot of them just dive right into the next bar without waiting for it. But I think you did. I think you don't. I don't remember you having a problem there where
I spent a lot of time counting the 6 because I often find on the second group that I play 7 or 5, so I have to be very mindful when I'm playing, because as it's dying, somehow my brain isn't thinking about it, but yeah.
Oh,
To count.
yeah, I can't remember what I did in my head, but like I like this song. Oh yes, I like this song. Oh yes, just saying something. I can't remember what it was. I'm going to relax now. I'm going to relax now, and then into the next. So having a saying is sometimes helpful. I wouldn't do it with an orchestra or with a group, but in a solo piece, having just something to say to yourself so that you can be entertained and know which one you're on
Yeah.
is
yeah,
helpful.
when you have a bunch of students studying the same piece, it's really interesting to see how so many of them make exactly the same mistake.
Totally.
And it seems
Yeah.
for my students anyway, it's like count how many. Again, you'll do the 5 and the 7, or the like, wait a minute, no, you don't change the harmony now. Wait, now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And oh no, go ahead.
Oh, the other
No,
thing
that's okay. I'm listening.
we're taught all the time to close, 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 but in this piece, your thumb really doesn't have much time to do that. So that I just don't worry if it stays up in the air or whatever, because it just wants to go. In most cases, it's just not going far at all. Like it's just going. It's just going in scales. Like, and in this case, we're in F major, so it's do, like do, ti, la, you know, that's all it's doing. And then especially if it's just going, like, just going from here you can see that there's not enough time to close and then come back. So you just push off and go right to there next, and then you can
Yeah.
sort of get through it without dying.
So I think that's exactly what I was going to mention. For me, because you don't have enough time to close in all the way, I had a really hard time, and I always have hard time with big chords like this or like big arpeggios that go on and on and on because it's tiring in your hand. My hand is not very big. Most of us don't have huge hands. And so as it goes on and on, like page one is okay. I've practiced it so much. I get to page two, I'm like, ugh, my
Yeah.
hand starts to become like it's just finger work by that point. So I think a big thing was and still is because to be honest, I worked really hard on page one. The rest of it I kind of made my way through for the exam when I played this one. To be honest, I could use a lot more practice on the third and fourth, the rest of the pages. But when you get to the end of that arpeggio, I think I really had to kind of work on just doing a little bit of movement, just here, just making sure that it wasn't staying stiff. That it wasn't coming off finger, 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 finger. That my fourth finger, the thumb obviously is not going to go all the way in, neither are the rest of the fingers, but just doing that little tiny bit of just that squeeze to make sure that at the end of my line it's relaxed. And then it starts to roll like we want to have that riam, 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 right? We want that sort of roll, yet we're playing finger, 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 finger.
Mhm.
So really thinking about this movement, allowing you to control that rolling movement. So I've gotten there on page one. I'm going to work on page two and three with that motion. Yeah, because otherwise it just becomes a lot of finger work, and we need a little bit more, especially when you get up here to that big stretch with the A to the B, in just into the second line.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's the big high jump where you have that big stretch and it just becomes so tight in the third and fourth fingers. So yeah, I am very grateful that you played that for us. That was very, very beautiful. You
Thank
were
you.
brave to do it and you're playing it just beautifully.
Thank you.
Really beautifully.
Thank you. Do you have any particular like issues with it or problems with it that are
I I find sometimes it's not even, and sometimes the two and the three go ta-da, ta-da. It's not quite even. So I don't know if it's because I'm not closing my third finger sometimes, or if I have to start playing it in rhythms. I'm not sure. It's not for all of the chords, but some of them I can hear that they're not as even as they should be. But I have tried to play this faster, like almost at full speed, and it's more even then, maybe because the fast two and three sort of match the rest of the fast fingers. I'm not sure.
that's interesting.
I yeah, I think it's really that. I find the same thing. Like the faster you go, the easier it can get. I think it really like try to think more about that fourth finger pinky,
Okay.
that they're not stiffening here,
Okay.
as you're playing. This is the slower you go. So this happened to me when I played Lyra Angelica with the Vancouver Island Symphony. It's a concerto and it has so many huge arpeggios. The big, beautiful melody line are just big arpeggios all the way down, exactly like La Source. And the conductor decided he wanted to go really slowly. And I was like, the slower you go, the harder it is for me to try to project, to try to get all these notes. And then when you're going slowly, it becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, rather than a downward rolled chord
Mhm.
with each finger being articulated, it becomes a single finger exercise. And so I think maybe thinking, even if you're going slower, thinking about that little bit of a close and making sure the pinky doesn't lock
Okay.
at the end of that might help because that certainly helps me in those situations.
Okay. Thanks.
Hard to
Yeah, and I
hard to
would
know
just say
too.
when you have like if there's particularly one spot that you feel or you're getting uneven, just take that one bar and just keep at it like a I mean I remember going through exactly the same problem with this thing. just trying to keep, and of course you can do the dotted rhythm, like, and then go like da 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 da, that whole just switching it around kind of thing, and then just seeing how fast you can just do the first, just turning it into a thing, and then trying to get from here to here. That's where I would have to do that like over and over again to try and get those ones even. Is it usually when you're connecting the two right there? Because I get sort of stuck right in there, the three and the four, and then getting it back in. So I think that's probably. Do you find that's the spot when you're no?
No, it's on the fourth page as when you get into the E naturals, and when two and three are playing together, it's
Oh
this part.
yes, yeah,
Yeah, da
yeah, right
da
here.
da.
So that's oh here there like
It's on.
oh
It's
there.
on the fourth page.
Yes, I know where. Of course, I have a different edition, so it's
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
it's
and then of course it's
yes,
changing, right? It's going from a one chord like an E dominant or diminished seventh. So this is the diminished seventh, right? And then all of a sudden you switch to a C7, right?
yeah.
Right. I just ran into this with I think someone's like there are different editions floating around that have different notes, and I'm getting very confused by students saying, no, this is what I've got. I'm thinking, really? So I'm gonna have to dig up another edition and just go through it. But that's like whenever you have a problem like that, the Poco root right there, and you're switching from one pattern to another, that's a spot where you might go to dum da dum da da, and then go da 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 da, and then see if you can just get fast, and then see from there, and then see how fast you can get the rest of it back on.
Mhm.
oh, I see what you mean. Oh, and that Poco Rit, but it happens before that you go from a really weird grouping. Before that Poco Rit, like 4 bars, where there's a double P and you play like an F. You play an F chord and then E, A, F, C. Yeah, going into that part. So for me, going from like the F chord, I don't know if you can see from there. Um, we have this F chord when it's up here. I go from the F chord into the E A F C. E A F E. And at that point, my third finger lands in a different spot compared to my fourth finger as it does here. So moving into that next shaping, I do need to shift my hand. And so repetitive practice obviously will help that, like repetitive, slow, rhythmic practice will help it. But being aware in the first place of how much you need to shift your hand can probably save you a lot of reps,
Yeah,
right? Just sort of being aware of when you get into that next grouping, how do I need to shift my hand so that all my finger pads have equal weight on the string, and then the repetitive practice can maybe help that with those situations, because there are a lot of these ones in here that I land and go, oh, I don't have my fingers on the strings. They're not
yeah,
really there. Like they're there, but they're not as even as the other ones, and then they come off the same way.
Yeah, that's why this is such a good one to learn, because it's basically like a concert etude where you're really building up a certain type of technique, and at the same time getting to play a beautiful piece. So it's kind of win-win, but it's a lot of work. And the funny thing is, I don't remember it being so difficult when I was younger. It's funny when you're young, sometimes you don't even know how hard something is, and you
Yeah.
get back to it decades later and go, "How did I ever play this?"
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So does anyone else have a piece they would like to play? Judy, do you have a piece?
I was on mute. Well, I do, but I feel really intimidated by the
Oh
lazy
no.
people. Okay, this one's a bit of a long story. So when I was going into grade 4, I always wanted to play She Moves Through the Fair because I love it. and it was Kim Robertson's piece. And I really hate what she did to it. I mean, I seriously hate what she did to it. And I played it and I played it and I said to Lanny, I can't be doing with this. I just cannot be doing with all that extra gubbins. She's taken it away from the tune. So now I've put grade 4 away. I've said to Lanny, I'm going to strip it down. And so I'm in the process of stripping it down. I'm keeping obviously to what she wrote, but I'm taking all the gubbins out. And then the next thing I'll do is then I will do my own embellishment and maybe do it several times because she moves to the fair. My favourite one is Sinead O'Connor. I've never been a great fan of Sinead O'Connor because she was as mad as a box of frogs. But the way she sings, she moves through the fair, is just it sort of gets your heart and it crushes it and flushes it down the tube. So I've been stripping it out and I've pretty much stripped out and I've got the tune. I've got the tune with using some of her chords. And the next, I've only got one chord that's wrong, which I haven't worked out yet, but I thought I'd just play it for you, Lanny. I'll play it badly, but I'll play it.
Judy, do you have it in the same key as the original, the Kim Robertson one?
Yes,
Okay,
exactly
hang
the
on a sec.
same. So basically, it's the F sharp and the C sharp, but you don't put the C sharp on, so it turns it sort of more modal. Okay, I'm going to play wrong notes because I get nervous. Wrong there. Ta-da! So
Oh, beautiful. That is one of my favorite tunes as well. Oh my
that's
goodness.
the tune.
Oh,
So I'm going to play about with it and do my own embellishments, but keep the tune because obviously the way it gets sung by Sinead O'Connor, there's a few verses.
yes.
So, I mean, the problem I had with Kim Robertson one, rather than doing a tiny bit of embellishment and you played the riff maybe 3 times with a little bit, she plays the riff once, there's this whole great big up and down, and then a little twiddly bit at the end. And you look at it and there's more twiddles than the tune. And I think the tune deserves to be more tuned than the twiddles.
Yes. Yep.
That's so funny. I absolutely love the day I walked into the harp room and Judy went, I don't know why Kim's fluffing about with this beautiful tune. I don't know what's happening. But it's true. And I'm sure when Kim plays it, she probably plays it for a long time. She probably plays the melody and then some interludes and then the melody and some interludes. But when it got published and put in the grade 4 exam, it's just one statement of the melody and then arpeggios up and down the harp. It doesn't give the song, the real justice. That was really beautiful.
Well, I'm going to fiddle about with it, and I'm going to, that software you told me about, I'm going to do
Hmm.
that. I'm going to do what I like to do because I used to play the flute. So I think what I'm going to do is juxtapose the harp playing it, the tune, and the flute playing the tune, and maybe do a few spread chords just to make it a happy piece. But that's
Here.
what I'll do.
Well, isn't it about a ghost? Isn't it like the one who's moving through the fair is dead, right?
That's right.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
And the
Yeah.
funny thing is, like, some people ask for it for their wedding, and you're going, you know,
Oh,
It,
Well,
it's a
I
very
don't know.
common wedding request.
Well,
Hmm.
that's why I love Sinead O'Connor's on because you know that person has died.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
yeah,
remember I heard a recording where she talked about it, and she said her dad, who was a Irish musician, used to sing it.
Oh.
It's really supposed to be the man singing, but she, she didn't have a good relationship with either of her parents. So, but it was the way she remembered her dad. So, you know, you could feel that pain in her voice.
brave
Mhm.
mode. I think
Yeah.
is it Mixolydian?
So yeah, I was just gonna say, the arrangement of She Moves Through the Fair Side, it is in Mixolydian mode, which is
Yeah,
very fun to play around with. So it's G major scale. It's in the key of G major, but everything surrounds the D scale. So she uses or the song, it uses your D chord, your C, your G, and it's beautifully fun. Yeah, it's really fun to just move around those. Really
yeah.
fun to move
I
around it.
think Mixolydian is my favorite mode.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, beautifully fun to play with that. So,
yeah. I used to play for. I have the same book. The purple. There's. By the way, if anyone doesn't have this book, it's a wonderful book. Actually, it's Kim Robertson. It's called The Celtic Harp or something.
uh,
I have it.
sol solos,
Yeah,
Celtic
Celtic
harp
harp solos or
solos.
something. And I used to just get a gig where I would just have to play background music, and I would just open up that book and kind of go through pretty much the whole thing.
Mine is a e-purchase, but that's
Ah,
what
Yeah,
it
that's the
looks
one
like.
I've got. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
Mine's
yeah.
the one.
a mine's an official e-purchase. Here's my receipt.
Oh, yes. There's a lot of beautiful stuff in it, actually. And what I did with She Moves Through the Fair also was I took it as a template, and I did some of the twiddly stuff, and then I would repeat it, and I would just simple it down, and just kind of do several verses of it with different, you know, but keep it mostly simple, and just add her little bits here and there, and
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's really fun. And so Judy's using Muse Score
Hmm.
now
Yeah.
to play around with listening to these chords, and it's actually, I find it really helpful, to be honest, with my ear training. I actually find writing out music, or writing out arrangements, it's actually been one of my best ear training tools of my whole career, is actually just listening to it, especially when I have my head turned and I'm just like sort of inputting using the letters, and I can hear like, oh, whoops, that was the wrong, the wrong letter, or just hearing the playback. Somehow it's been really useful for my ear. So, but don't buy Finale.
No.
It's out the door.
Oh, that's right. Finale died. That's right. Yeah.
Yes, I purchased it at about 11 o'clock the night before they announced that they were no longer updating Finale any longer.
How much did you waste?
Like 150 or something.
Aw.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
it was
you
pretty
can still
crazy.
use it, but they won't be supporting it anymore, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Although, yeah, my version is somehow not really working all that well, but but anyways. Yeah, because I had all the winter harp scores and they're all in finale. And I said, well, I use Muse score. I just don't want finale. And I just sat on it and sat on it. And finally I bought it. And then the next day they went, no more finale. So yeah, that's a lot of people have a lot of music tied up in that program.
So Kim, do you
Um,
have a piece that you've worked on that you'd like to play?
I should go on.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you talking to me.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Hearing is very bad.
oh, I'm
Um,
sorry. Do you have a piece that you worked on that you'd like to perform
well,
tonight?
I had been thinking about for a while what to prepare, and then we just a few days ago got this Manx Christmas Carol. So I said, well, that's kind of neat. It's totally new to me. I have never heard this piece before. So I thought, anyway, why don't I give it a try?
Oh, good. Okay, great.
wonderful.
Uh, I've not practiced it very much. I've played through it maybe 5 times in all, more to get a sense of what the hands need to do and more to understand what it's trying to say. But the all the fine details are still missing. But anyway, it's a new piece, so I thought I would take up the challenge.
Sure, that's great. Lovely.
I'm sorry. I'm going to have to play it extremely slowly because I figure out things very quickly.
That's okay. It's beautiful. This is new to all of us. So this is wonderful.
Sorry. And then it repeats.
Very nice.
Oh,
That was beautiful. You did a great job.
very beautiful. Thank you
Very nice.
so much. What a beautiful piece.
It
It
is
is,
beautiful. I'm loving it so much. The more I play it, I say, ooh, I have to repeat it. And so I end up playing through the whole thing,
Yes.
like a loop,
Yes. Yeah, I just made a little, very
non-ending
short
loop.
little recording of it, and then I just finished it with a D major chord because I didn't want to just leave it sort of hanging on that
ah,
5/7. It's like, ugh. But I listened to a recording of a choir singing it. That's why I threw in the G sharp because the choir was using a G sharp, and in the original that Rachel Hare did, she left it modal. She didn't sharpen the G, but I mean it would be fine on a lever harp. You just wouldn't play the one underneath it, but you could just sharpen it, and then you could just play the next chord just with your right hand, and then just put the G back down, and it would be fine. Or just leave it, just don't even bother with it, just because she didn't bother with it. And then there's a whole other couple more pages that she does, but she in her version she just comes back and plays that verse again, and then she adds a little kind of bridge in the middle. And then she does a slightly different second ending to move into a completely other piece called and I won't even try to pronounce this, but it's a dance kind of a thing, a jig, and it's supposed to it's me Gillian Barney, but that I'm sure that's not right anyway, and it means the white boy, and I thought, okay, and it's full of these little things where you play the triplet on the same string, the 4-3-2 on the same string. So this is still about the weakest part of my technique is doing that thing with the like the kind of, so I haven't got that under my fingers quite yet. But yeah, it's just a bit like this. It's just like, and it goes on like that, and it's great. But then she starts getting to the da 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 da, and then she's got one of these, and yeah, it's far from being ready. But anyway, that one I don't. I guess it's a Christmas carol, but it could also just be a jig. And I think the other thing too is this first one. She says it's a Christmas carol, but I think it could also just be a lullaby, because I think it just means hushabye baby. So I don't know all the words, but I looked up. I actually went to those little um, websites where you can just type in whatever it is in the language and see how it comes out in English. So that's what it came out as. Now, when you learned this, Ken, did you have any issues with it? Any problems with the fingerings or anything?
Um, I think if I were to spend more time going through it line by line, I probably can figure out some sort of workable fingering for each hand.
Yeah, I found that there was one section that I really had to practice over and over again because it was the section at bar 21. It does this thing where the left hand is doing this, and then there's a big gap here. So I end up putting my middle finger on first instead of the bottom one first. So it's like, can you see this? Okay, probably not. And then my second finger goes on first. And again here, now there's a seventh from here to here. So this probably is very dependent on how big your hand is. And then I did a little moving around of where she had the notes compared to where I put them. So I did them like that so that my thumb could stay on the same note, whereas in hers she comes back to a second finger and the thumb's on one of these notes up here. So then putting that together with my right hand, I did this, but then I found myself on a place where I'm turning around while I'm doing this other completely different thing in my left hand. So that was something like, and there I am in this turnaround position while I'm doing this. So that's my first beat of that bar is like that. Oopsie, and that took me, I can't tell you how many repetitions before I could, and then I thought, well, maybe it would make better sense to just go 1, 2, 1, 2. But then once I had started to practice it that other way, I couldn't seem to stop it. I just couldn't rewire my brain, no matter, even if it was a better fingering. It was just like, no, this is what you started with. This is what you're sticking with. But sometimes, if it's a lot better, it's worth the agony of rewiring, things like that. Does everyone have that music? Because I think I put it in the, yeah. So if you want to work on this a little bit, we could. Any, we have a few more, we have like 15 more minutes. Or is there a particular wish list that you want to, what would you like to do, Atlani?
I think it would be nice to work on this one. I was also going to say there's just so you guys know, there is the Bridgerton theme is
Oh, that's
in the folder as well. And that one's a pretty simple, it's a fairly like simple piece, but it's quite tricky to put together, but it's really like an etude. It's really a technical exercise. So if you have it printed, we could just look at that left hand too, just quickly before we go. But I think it'd be nice to look at this piece first, Elizabeth. It's just
okay.
beautiful. I think it'd
Well,
be
let's
nice
do
to
a
look at.
little, we'll just do a little bit on it, then we'll move on to the Bridgerton one because we've got the time, we can just sort of put them together. Okay, so
Yeah, yeah.
as you can see, what I did here, compared to Rachel Hare's version, she put the whole thing at the beginning. The first 4 bars she did all in one hand, and certainly you could do that. But I thought, well, gee, I've got this hand just sitting here doing nothing. So I just took the top of it and put it in my right hand. So I just started with the left hand, just doing that much of it, and the rest is in the right hand. And then you can switch it back to being all in the left hand. But it's the same thing. It's just the D A, and then this little scale, and then an A major chord, and then you just do more of a scale. That's your beginning, and that could be all in your left hand. So let's just do a bit of that left hand, or you could split it like I did and put it in 2 different hands. And I'll just go like really slow. We'll just do the introduction, the first 4 bars, and it's in D major. So 1, 2, 3. Whoopsie. Anyway, sorry, I was about to just play the second thing again. So that part seems fairly straightforward. It's not too difficult. Then it starts getting into this thing where now your left hand's doing that same little melody, but now your right hand's got this thing. So I usually just connect the first 3 notes, the D to the E to the F, and I've got them on. And I go 1, 2, and then you can decide how you want to do this. If you want to do this like that, or to start them together, because I don't think it matters actually. So I'm just going to play it like wherever it lands, kind of 1, 2, 3. And I tend to do the little da-da before the last one so that I play my F sharp and my A at the same time. And then you can either slide your thumb or hop your thumb, but I place the next 2 in bar 7. I place these 2 here, and then I either hop it, or you can just grab the whole thing and do it as 2, 3, 4. But I'm a big fan of just getting my thumb on there, so I just do that. And then it's 1, 2, 3. And I took the A in here, but it's actually in her version, the A is in her thumb, so that the left hand's exactly the same as it is just previously. I just found that this was one less accident waiting to happen kind of thing, and it gives your left hand another chance to get down. And then here in bar 9, all of a sudden we've got a bigger stretch. So we no longer are going to the A here, we're going to the B. And this one's 1 note higher too up here. So then we have that. Oopsie, again I blew it. And if I'd been paying attention, so I'm using second finger on the B because it's going to go right back to the same finger. And I did the same thing again where I took the top note of what would have been my left hand thumb and put it in my right hand. So that's in bar 9. And I'll just count us in 1, 2, 3. And then for the next thing, I just did the little ornaments before the beat. That one's simple. And then we're up here, starting on the F. That one's not bad. And another one of these with the G's and the B's. Now, I found with me, because the first time that happens with the D, the B, and the G, it comes down after that to the E. This time, it doesn't. It just goes down 1 step and comes back. So when you're trying to put it all together, if you sort of make a mental note, the first time you've got a third here, second time you have a second, then you're less likely to mess it up, because I did mess it up a few times, several times. So that's that bit. At 15, you're going to go only one note down. And then here, I took the first four notes here in the left hand, and I took the rest of it in the right hand, so it looked like this. It used to be in her version, so I thought, nah. And then I added that G sharp and just turned this into this. And then we're into A major, and then we've got this little nightmare coming up here. And so you can do any fingering you want in here. I think probably if I were going to do this again, I'd probably go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, because this is really, really complicated when you've got your finger in that awkward position on the beat. So just do whatever you think works. So it's going to 1, 2, 3, 1. And then,
It's Peckabell.
yeah, basically, yeah. And so, yeah, you're just kind of going down in there, and then just that middle one stays on the D. So it's always a D on your second finger. And then the top one is also going down in a scale. So you just have this little thing, and then like that. So that middle finger doesn't move. So the tricky thing is getting your hand big enough for that last one. And I had to really work on that. It didn't want to do it. So then the idea is that then it works really fine if you know, if you remember that that's what's happening at the beginning of each one. And then you're almost done, and you just have this little, and you can connect these two or just hop it, and then you just connect to that D, the thumb. And you can use your fourth finger of your right hand here, or just hop your thumb. Really anything you want to do there. And then that comes back. In hers, it does go on to have a little bridge section, and then you come back. But I just figured keep it short and sweet. But that was all the choir sang. They just sort of regurgitated that verse 3 times, and then just simply stopped on the 5/7. Yeah. So that's
Wow.
it. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's so pretty. It was
Yeah.
meant to be.
And it just, yeah, it just really highlights like how beautifully the harp can play, right? Just like the quarter notes and the eighth notes that are here, those rolled chords, these grace notes. Can that first grace note that you played, the D A F, that was just absolutely beautiful.
Oh,
However you did it, wherever you landed it, it was just absolutely stunning. It was so lovely. It's such a beautiful.
oh, I'm just turning the sound off on my. What is he? Oh, what is my husband? Let me see what is in the middle of the. Oh,
There's
he knows I'm
there
here.
is an intense storm going on outside here. This is like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I can hear
There are
the wind.
things falling off people's balconies on the other side. There's a terrible racket going on over here.
I'm just glad we're not on the boat right now.
No kidding. No kidding.
So let's just
Um,
look at Bridgerton for a minute or two.
yeah, I don't actually know what time it is.
Oh, what time is it? Oh, we have
Oh,
7.
we have time. Yeah.
Good, we've got time.
Great. Okay.
And,
So do you guys have this Bridgerton? I know we didn't say we were gonna look at it, so it's but I just realized it was there. I'm sorry that behind me you see some, I don't know, my son he made a country and put flags
ah,
over there. So that's what you see of my harp. Okay, so this Bridgerton theme, so the big thing with all the Bridgerton music, and people are asking for all the weddings, it's stunning music. I mean, it's like a lot of pop tunes done up for string quartet, but very, very beautiful arrangements out there. But everything is that heartbeat, right? So this is the new like arrangers go to these days with like contemporary classical music is a constant heartbeat, a constant eighth notes running all the time. And that like really lends itself well to the harp, but the repeated notes do not. So right at the beginning, there's just this like, just a repeated. So this is great. This is like Elizabeth was just talking about using this as an exercise, for alternating your fingers. You could do 3-2, 4-3-2 if you wanted to practice that, or just really anchoring one finger because it's not, I mean, you don't have to play it that fast, right? So you can anchor one finger or just like anchor your thumb so that you can just get your second finger in there. And this harp seems to be making a lot more racket than I want it to, but just practicing landing in so that you're not getting extra noise. And you can use this to practice with different fingers. So you could do this opening with your fourth finger to practice just your fourth finger. Maybe just anchor and just let your fourth finger go. I would anchor a little bit higher so you've got a nice shape to your hand. Like maybe I'd put my finger on the A and just let the fourth finger practice on its own for those first 2 bars. But yeah, lots of things you can do with these repeated notes. When I actually have played this, I haven't played this arrangement. I don't know that it's the best harp arrangement. I might do Chariots of Fire kind of situation. So what I did instead was I played 2 low bass notes and then I alternated bass. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Just so you get all the notes, but I'm just kind of alternating octaves just to get those repeated notes, but it's not just the harp repeating notes. Okay. And then we get into the main theme. So the main theme is in the right hand. And of course there's fingering here, but it's for piano. But we have the first chord, and then you can catch 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2. And then I do 3, 1, 3, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's your main melody, and it keeps going. 3, 1, 3, 3. So I do 3, 1, or you could do 3, 1, 3, 2, 1, and then chord. I'm doing 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 2. But it's not like if you're not going terribly fast, you could do whatever you want. But I do like the 2, 3 connected to the 1, and then you could come back to the 2, 3. And play a 3. Just keep all your fingers right there. That's fine. And then you go down to an F, and then a third, a third, a third, a third. And then I do 4, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. Here's your third, here's a sixth, and a triad. Okay, then we're back into the main melody, but they add a few extra little notes. So 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, or 1, 3. You already used your 4, but I don't like, somehow my fourth finger gets lazy and it tries to catch another string. So I in this situation, I'm safer to land a 3 when I get there, but you could use 4 as well because it already just played there. 2, 3, 1, 3. Now these next notes in the right hand, they are not melody. These are your running heartbeats. This is your, violin. Chica, 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 chica. Okay, so those are not melody. They can just be very soft. They're just part of the accompaniment. And here your melody starts again at 23, and here it's the same thing, 4, 3, 2, and then I'm just doing 1, 3, but whatever you decide. And then the third finger stays where it is. So the melody is in your thumb. Okay, and then these last bars again, not melody. And a chord, okay? But then of course the piece can just rewind and you just play it all from the beginning again. Now the left hand, this is your workout. So it's just simply G chord, E chord, G chord, E chord, C chord, D chord, C chord, D chord, G, E, G, E, G. Just repeats the whole thing. And you can pretty clearly see it because the root note is always in the bass. The root of your chord will always be in the bass. When you see that G, you're playing a G chord. When you see an E in the bass, you're playing an E chord. So it's all just very, very simple that way. But the left hand gets this big workout. Okay, so this is so I'm playing really high up so you can see. I don't know what my technique is doing here, but just you really want to keep your, oh, that doesn't work that far. You really would just want to keep your hand like just nice and flat. So my fourth finger is coming in, but it's not going all the way. It's coming into about here each time, but it is coming in with my pinky. And I'm very, very proud to say that my left hand also, my pinky is coming in. Ta-da! Look, Elizabeth. 20 years ago, that was not the case. Okay, so it used to go like this. No, how did it go? Like this. It stayed there. So just following in. So this, and my thumb is placed quite low just because my hands are smaller. But same thing, my thumb is coming over. I'm not going all the way over when I'm going fast. So that is how the left hand goes. All the way through. When you change your chords, you have to crawl down. So I do a wee little leap for these. If it's too far, I do a tiny little leap. So 4, 2, 1 going to the E. I do a little leap instead of stretching my fourth finger, just because when I do, I tense up. So I do a tiny leap. But if you can stretch it and you're not tensing up, then that's fine. If you can stretch that to the 4. But it's a bit much for me, so I need to do a little tiny leap, but I stay very close to the string. Almost like kind of creeping on the strings. Okay. And then we go back to the G. Going back to the G is quite simple. You just replace on the G. Okay. And then we jump back to the E. Then we jump down to a C. It's the same as going from the E to the G to the E. Then we go to a D chord. Okay. And then it's all repeats until bar 19. And then the pattern just shifts up a little bit. It's 4, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. What is that song? Memories all alone in the moonlight. There was some song was creeping in on me there. I knew it. Okay, so this one just, yeah, it just goes up, and this is also a great workout. And so when you put the hands together, obviously you want to be really solid with your left hand, but I'm playing the wrong left hand. So I was getting a different workout. Okay, so it's a really nice workout when you start going faster, but I'd start very slow and use this as a technique exercise. Now, when I've actually played this for people for their weddings, I don't play that. I just read the left hand, so I do. Yeah, something like that, maybe just for the opening, so that you just the first 2 beats, something like that, because when you go fast, want to hear the melody. So if you're playing it for somebody, I wouldn't I wouldn't play this actual on a harp, maybe on a piano. But it doesn't really give you that feeling of the melody. So maybe just if you wanted to, you can just play around with the left hand and even just do the first two notes, add in an extra, or the first two beats of every bar, and add in an extra fourth beat if you're feeling brave. And that can give you a little bit of a lift with the piece. So there you go. That's the Bridgerton theme that everybody wants for their wedding these days.
Yeah, it's funny. Granted, I'm not in the wedding circuit anymore, so I
Did
think
you say circus? It
I
really.
said it, but I meant circuit, and out it came. It was really funny. Bleh.
It
Someone,
really is. It really is a wedding circus.
yeah, yeah, that's so true. Yeah, I'm not in the loop anymore as to what's being requested. Yeah, great. Well, that's very good. Does anyone have any questions or anything before we adjourn until the next session? Because I think that we're going to be starting up again, I think in January or something. Yeah, we have a new
Yeah.
uh, administration at the VSO School of Music, and they seem to be much more on top of things now. So she was asking us, when do you want to start again? And I think it might even be already on the website. I'm not sure. I haven't looked. But I think we're no longer in the days where we're scrambling just to make sure that they actually know that we're doing one of these classes.
Yeah, yeah. The new manager is really seems very on top of everything, so that's good. I think it is January 21st.
I'll have to look it up. Yeah,
Yeah, either January 21 or 28. I
something like that.
think 21. And yeah, it should be up soon.
Yeah. And if you're planning to come back and you have a wish list, or is there something you really want to do, or a piece that you're really interested in looking at, let us know. Okay, well, gee, have a great Christmas and whatever Hanukkah, and we'll see you hopefully in January.
Okay.
Thank you both. I really enjoyed the course.
Oh, thank
Thank
you.
you, Grace. Thanks,
Lanny,
guys.
you
All
got my
right then.
text. Lanny, you got my text.
I got your text. I'm going to see you next week, right?
Yeah. I already had that in the diary.
On the 27th. Okay.
We've got that one lesson missing.
That's good.